I obviously have been through periods of my life where I've coped with it by drinking quite a lot and going out at the weekends and being up until silly hours of the morning. I've noticed that I've been able to not do that as much.
I've asked you how you are,
Yeah.
and you've told me that you're no longer a plastic darts fan.
Okay, I'm not I'm doing really well now. I've started therapy.
Good.
Why are you laughing at that?
Because it sounds like a joke, doesn't it?
Oh no, I started therapy. Shout out to our good friend Alfie Indra. I had a bit of a bad turn about a month and a half ago, and he said, "Look, you really just need to do therapy because it seems like something that is good in theory, but when I guess like." I'm not of this, as we know, and all the listeners know. I'm not what you consider to be an alpha male. I don't think I'm necessarily, but I'm not necessarily like this kind of like brute, like blokes shouldn't cry and stuff like that. I think it's good to show emotion. Our friendship group's really good as well. We're good at talking to each other about things, always after a beer, but still, at least we do it. However, I did kind of not because of my gender or anything, but I kind of thought to myself, I don't need it. I don't need it. I can do this on my own, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But Alfie was very, very kind and passed me on the details to a therapist who specialises in OCD. Really, he started out as an RJ therapist, which is retroactive jealousy disorder, which is what Alfie has.
Yeah.
But obviously, over his 20 years of specialising, he does all
of being a therapist.
yeah.
He knows what he's doing, basically.
Yeah, and I would like to take a moment to encourage anyone out there who's suffering with OCD or any other sort of mental health disorders, really, to take the plunge, because I did it. The first session I did, Alfie sat on it with me.
That must have been weird.
It was weird. Alfie kind of knew most of my head anyway, as you do. But it was weird talking about it sober to someone.
Yeah.
And Alfie was just there as kind of like a sounding board, which was really good. And then after like half an hour into the session, I didn't even really need Alfie there anymore. So it's just to break down that kind of like awkwardness at the start. And then the second session, it was just obviously me and the therapist, and I've had 3 or 4 now, and it's a weekly thing. I have them every Sunday night. So,
what's therapy like? It's something I've obviously never actually done, but like, what is it? Obviously, I don't want you to go into details of what you're speaking about because that's what you go to your therapist for.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I guess someone who doesn't have a clue about any of it, I'd imagine. You know, like, there's going to be people listening probably thinking like they won't go to a therapist because like, why would I pay someone to just tell me things that I probably already know? But surely they're specialising in it for a reason, and they get to points that you've never even thought of, or that your mates couldn't even think of.
Oh, mate, they pluck everything out. They're really good at plucking bits of your past out. Like, so a bit that struck me was that my therapist said, a lot of people that experience OCD, and he was, I'm going to butcher this, and guys, don't take this as scientific because I can't remember it verbatim. I'm just kind of taking out the bits that were important to me. But do your own research on this. But apparently, like, people who suffer from OCD, there's like 3 different types, or most people can suffer from one sort of train of OCD or up to 3, and mine's all 3. And he basically said it's quite severe, and that must mean it stems from trauma. And I said to him, I said, well, to be honest, mate, I don't think I've ever really had that much trauma, because touch wood, no one in my family has ever died. I've never been sexually abused, anything that's like your sort of like traditional big moments that impact people negatively early on. And he asked me what the relationship with my mum and dad was like. And I said, dad's best mate, but mum's a bit dodgy. And we've been through some bad stuff. And then he basically just started to ask me, I don't know if you remember, but I said on here that I don't think I have any memories since before 10, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying that was mad. But then all of a sudden they were coming back, and I was telling him things. And so, yeah, therapy was really good at plucking out kind of like, and helping me admit, I do have trauma. These things are traumatic.
I guess saying you don't have memories before you were 10 is more like you've made them, you've put them deep in your brain. Like, they are there. You just don't want to remember them.
Yeah. And I said to my therapist that maybe should I start speaking to my mum? Of course, getting deep in it, but should I start speaking to my mum again? because everyone knows that relationship derailed a number of years ago. And I thought he'd encourage me too, because I thought that would be a positive and that would be putting another jigsaw piece back into the puzzle that is my brain.
Yeah.
But he actually encouraged me not to, because he likened it to, at the moment, my brain is infected, right? Which is brilliant to tell someone with health anxiety. No, I'm only joking. And he basically said that we're cutting out all of the poison from the brain, and that somebody like that, it's not a dig at her, but because she's not well herself, she might actually be putting more poison in while we're trying to do that. So it's really, it's so weird, because after you do it, and I know somebody else that's been doing therapy for about 10, 15 years, and they say they cry during every one. I don't get as emotional. The first one, I really got emotional, and it felt like more of a block. Like, oh, finally, I've broken through the barriers of being able to have this. But then after every session, you feel like you've gone on a 10K run, but like the good endorphins.
Oh, okay.
You feel like, I now have this Sunday club with Joel, our friend, where we go and play darts for an hour on Sunday just before it closes. Enough time after my therapy and when the darts place closes. And Alfie was there a couple of weeks ago, and I was buzzing, and he could tell that I was happy. And he said, "Do you feel like you've just had a shower?" And I was like, yeah, that is the perfect way to put it. You feel like you've had a mental shower. You feel clean. You feel ready to start the week. So I'd encourage everyone, if you're thinking about it and you've got the money, because let's face it, it is a privilege to be able to afford it as well, because it is quite expensive, I can't lie. Then I would encourage people do it. I don't know if the NHS offer.
I think there's certain charities do it, and we'd have to get the information to be able to kind of tell this properly to people who are listening. But if you do the research, I'm sure you'll find there's certain charities out there who definitely do help with it, and there are cheaper options. I think there's apps now where you can connect to a therapist quite quickly and easily. Obviously, you're going for a more tailored service, but it's maybe start down the route, if maybe you don't have the money or whatever. Start down the route where it may not be quite so tailored, just to kind of get a foot in the door, and then see where that takes you.
Yeah, but if you do have the means to do it, and it is something that you've been thinking about doing for a while, then I reckon 100% give it a go. Because I promise you, the first one will be hard. The first one will definitely be hard. There's no way of getting around that. But it might not be as hard as you think. Genuinely, it might not be as hard as you think. And once you do one, it's like if you're a bit overweight, you want to go for a run. That first one, when you're sat on the sofa, that seems uncomfortable and that seems like out of the norm, and you'd rather just be lay in bed or whatever. I get that. But once you've been for that run and it takes you 15 minutes to do a K, then the next time it will take you 14 minutes to do a K. So it's just getting up and going for that run, and it's a mental run, and a run that is slowly but surely changing my life. And one thing I don't really want to delve into on such a public forum, but I obviously have been through periods of my life where I've coped with it by drinking quite a lot and going out at the weekends and being up until silly hours of the morning. I've noticed that I've been able to not do that as much. And set like, oh, we'll have one night out a month or something, and I always struggle with it because the weekend comes, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I'm actually finding myself a lot more happy throughout the week, so I'm more content just going for a meal or just
Playing football.
Yeah, we've been doing that a lot more as well. So yeah, shout out to my therapist and to therapists who are doing such good work all over the country. Go and get it done, guys. And if I received a lot of love from a lot of you out there who suffer from similar health anxiety and OCDs after my appearance on Steve Bartlett's wonderful podcast, Diary of a CEO. So do keep sending me your DMs. I'll try and get back to as many as possible. And at some point in the future, I would like to do a little fundraiser, whether that's on your stream or whatever that could be, where we actually raise some money to book people their first therapy sessions.
That's a class idea.
I think that could be quite good.
That's a really good idea.
So whether we do that through happy hour, through streaming, whatever, that could be something for the future.
A 52-year-old fighting a 19-year-old, and the 52-year-old has basically said to everyone, if you win, you can have my daughter.
What? He said that?